Hey, it's Ronnie Daniels. Today is April 23rd. I want to tell you guys, I'm sorry I haven't made any videos yet. Keep getting new subscribers, and I have not made additional videos. So I just want to let you know I'm still around, and I'm going to just ramble on about a few things here, and then maybe in the next day or two I'll make a few more videos where we'll go inside a couple of hives. But I did want to show you a few things and kind of give you an update on how things have been. Let me spin you around here. I'm gonna get my veil on and we'll walk around a little bit. Hang on. All right, here out here I think I have about 11 hives this year, or 11 or 12, I don't remember, somewhere around in there. And all the hives made it through the winter, and I actually had a couple of weak colonies. This one here, as you can see, is compared to the rest of them has not grown, so it's still a little bit on the weak side, and you know, really it needs requeening, but I'm not going to do that. I like just playing with them, so I just leave them the way they are. But a couple of things I wanted to tell you that I have learned this year. Now I'm thinking this is my 5th or 6th or 7th year. I'll have to go back and look, of beekeeping, and I'm certainly no expert, but I like playing with the bees and trying different things. But one thing I did different this year is in the fall of last year, I made sure that they had plenty of honey left over. So I took some of their honey and made sure they had some left over, and I actually put some in the freezer and the refrigerator. So that's one piece of advice I have for you. If you have a refrigerator or something that you can put some frames in, it's always a good idea to have a few frames of honey stored back. That way if you catch a swarm, or if you get one that's low and there's not a flow on, you can give them a frame of honey. So that's what I did. I kept some on standby, left them plenty of honey for the winter, and then when the January and February and all that came, I just kind of kept an eye. I would lift up on the back of the hive to make sure that they had some, you know, some weight, where I could tell they had some honey. And then there were a couple of them I could feel were real light, so that's when I went and took the frames of honey out of the refrigerator and just kind of put it in there for them. So that kind of held things over. But the interesting thing about that is, because I did not feed this spring, I have not had any swarms that I know of. I did have one, actually. This one here had a lot more activity in the early spring, just before the flow, and I could tell, you know, hey, if I'm going to look in one, I probably need to look in this one, because you could see from the entrance compared to the others that there was a lot more activity. So I went in there, and there were some swarm cells, and then I just grabbed the nuke box, put the swarm cells in there. I did not even worry about finding the queen. I just moved it over there. Let me spin you around, sorry about that. I just moved it over there, and said, well, I'll just check back in a couple of weeks. And I could tell from the activity of the one that I stole from, that the activity of the bees, there was still a good population, and so that told me more than likely she was still in there. So they did not swarm, and the colony that I created, the little nuke box you just saw there, man, that thing is gangbusters. I mean, I've already had to add a box to it. So that's one thing I've learned this year. To reduce swarming is don't feed in the spring. Make sure you leave them some honey. And then another thing, this year I've been right on top of adding them a box. So be honest with you, this year I have not went in the hives very much. I just look at the entrance, and I can tell, you know, usually if they swarm, you'll start seeing, if you don't see the swarm when it leaves, over a period of days, you'll notice the activity at the hive will become less and less. That's because you have bees that are dying and they're not being replaced until you get a new queen. So I've just kind of monitored that way, and it's worked out real well. Another thing that I have learned, and this is a mistake of mine that you can avoid making this mistake, is with the frames. I've started using a lot of plastic foundation, and one thing about the plastic foundation, I'm sorry about the light here, let me get somewhere where you can see me good. I've started using a plastic foundation quite a bit, and the plastic foundation fits real tight inside the frame, so it has a tendency to push the sides of in all directions, mainly, well, actually the top and the bottom, it pushes, so it's hard to get it to seal back to where it's supposed to go. But one thing I have noticed is when I was doing inspections inside the hive, when I would pull the frame out, it would either tear apart right here or right here, and it would just pull apart, you know, mainly because I was a little impatient, and on pulling, you know, with the propolis is kind of holding in there, and it's real gooey, and it kind of I'm gonna get you set right there where we can talk. That may not work too good. And anyway, it will pull the frame apart while you're trying to pull the frame out of the box, and that's happened to me quite a bit. Get my hat. That's happened to me quite a bit. So my word of advice to you would be to, you know, here I have a nail, used an air stapler and stapled there, but my advice to you would be put one in the side here going, that way it'll keep it from ripping apart, and the same for the bottom. You see I've got a staple there, put one on the side, you can see I put one there to keep it from pulling apart right here, because they'll have a tendency to do that when there's a lot of propolis in there and you start trying to get that frame out. As I've mentioned before, when you go in your colonies, and I learned this from another guy on YouTube, I think I mentioned his name in a video before, but I have forgotten his name. He's the one that's the master beekeeper, so if you don't subscribe to him, you probably want to do that. He always starts his videos out saying he's a master beekeeper. Anyway, if you watch him working his videos, working a hive, he's very slow and meticulous, and I have noticed, you know, I learned that from him and I started doing it. I can go in a packed colony where there's bees everywhere and not kill a single bee. You know, when I first started beekeeping, man, I'd go in there like a bull in a china shop, and bees will get killed, and that pisses them off. But if you take your time and just kind of either smoke them or take your finger, which I don't wear gloves anymore when I work in a colony, take your finger and kind of nudge them out of the way. They'll walk out of your way. A couple other tips of advice I've told you before, I think, but I'll just tell you again. Bees, when they get mad, they like to go after the color black. So when I have been stung, it's usually around my watch, and I wear black socks, and I always get stung on the ankles too whenever they get real mad. So something to keep in mind. I mentioned about watching the activity, and I think I've even made a video about this before, about watching the activity outside your hive. If you have a small colony and the population is not as strong, and the mornings are cool, it's going to take a little while before you start seeing some activity out of that colony, because they don't have the bees to keep the brood warm to start going out. So that's something to keep in mind. If it's cool and your population is low, you may not see quite a bit of much activity until the weather starts warming up, but during the day. But I have learned to excuse me, really watch the activity at the front of the hive, and especially if it's a nice good day. You know, that's mainly what I'm talking about. If it's real cold, you're not going to see them, but if it's a good day and you see all your other colonies are out, you know, just look and see how much activity you have coming in and out of that colony, because that'll give you an indication. Of course, look for pollen coming in, but I'll give you a really good indication of how things are going. Just like I told you earlier, I had one colony that had way more activity coming out the front door. I think they actually even bearded one day, and it wasn't even really all that hot, which tells me there's a lot of bees in there. And luckily I went in there just in time to catch it with some queen cells in there. I was able to make a split. So those are just some few little tips I have for you. I promise you we'll go in a colony soon. I'll do it on the next video. And I did want to tell you a couple more things. I bought a new oxalic acid vaporizer, and I'll probably do a review on it and the old one that I have, because there's some things I like about the old one. So I'll probably do a review on that, and then we'll go inside this nuke to see. I may make another split out of it, or see if I need to move them to a 10 frame or something, because man, when I went in there, the queen had laid up the frames solid. So anyway, sorry I hadn't made a video in a very long time. I'm back, and I'll promise you I'll make some videos soon. If you have anything that you're particularly interested in, just let me know, and we'll make a video on it and talk about it. Again, I'm not as serious as a beekeeper as I see some of the guys on YouTube are, but I do enjoy playing with them, and the honey is just a byproduct of the hobby for me. I give away a lot of honey to family and friends, and of course I do sell some too. And it's nice to be able to make enough money to buy something you know want that's a little costly, like more equipment, or an oxalic acid vaporizer, like I bought a nice one. So it is nice to be able to do that. But again, thanks for watching, and I promise I'll be back soon. See ya.